All right, hello and welcome back to the 3P Playbook, a show dedicated to youth sports, how we can get them to prosper, how we can get them to get out and play and enjoy themselves, and what can we do as coaches, as instructors, as organizers to make sure that they have the best foundation possible to be able to grow and develop. I'm your host, Pat Wilkinson. We're filming here at the Knot, 507 37th Avenue South in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. If you're looking for a drama-free time to kick back and enjoy a good meal, have a few drinks, talk sports, this is the place. Come see my boy Roger. You can get you some of these shepherd's pie empanadas, and I promise you he will not disappoint you. For today's show, I brought in another ambassador for a sport that is a valuable opportunity for some of our kids in our area, and that's long drive. Seeing how far you can hit the ball. Can you get it in the grid? And with me right now is the founder of the Ultimate Long Drive, Mr. Jeff Gilden. Jeff, thank you for being on the show, man. I appreciate you.
Hey Pat, man, it's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on your deal. I love this. This is cool.
Dude, as a guy that competed a little bit in long drive before COVID and everything else, I've been excited to share this with everybody because obviously one of the big elements in the 3P playbook is showing people opportunities for kids, stuff that they can do. And I can tell you, having my sister compete in ALD, amateur long drive, which we'll describe.
2017.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching her go and compete in it was awesome. But then on that, I got to see my daughter go to the world championship and everything else. And yeah, she claimed the title, and I was able to enjoy that with her. And it was all because you made it happen. So before we get in depth on ULD, give us a little background on yourself real quick.
No, that's more than I'm here.
Yeah, right.
I've done everything you can imagine in my life. We're heavily involved in media production, that kind of stuff. That actually got me into long drive. Way back in 2012, I think. I ran into Dean Jarvis, who was doing an exhibition at a golf conference I was at with players with disabilities competing for the para long drive.
Yeah.
Field. And I'm just blown away by the fact that those guys were out there, some of them with one arm and some with double leg amputees. There was a blind guy there.
Sure.
And all these people were doing this long ball thing. And I've always known about long drive, but I never really, I've watched it, but I was never involved in it. I went, man, this is so cool. What are we doing?
Yeah.
And I said, what do you need? And he says, well, we just need exposure. I said, well, let me help you. And follow those guys around the country from then until 2016. And I convinced Dean Jarvis, who was running, I said, man, bring your championship to Myrtle Beach. We'll get more eyes on it. We're home base for us. We'll get it on TV, and we'll see if we can help you that way. And he agreed to do that. And we started getting inundated from people like you and me, able-bodied golfers. Well, how can I get in this? Well, we didn't have a division. It was all parallel on drive, and where anybody with any ability could play. So I created a division for amateurs. Your sister entered it.
Yeah, right.
And we had to cut it off because we had so many entries coming in quickly. We were going to exceed the time that we had. We only had one day and a half to the tournament.
Yeah.
We're up legend. So we ran that event, and man, it just took off.
Yeah.
And it's so, the whole thing, a lot of people ask about people playing in the sport with disabilities, not just youth. I want to talk about the youth especially, but we want to make sure that anyone with any kind of that's able in any different way,
Sure,
can come out and compete with us. There's a place for them. And I love that. We have guys hitting with wheelchairs and those stand-up and play deals. We've got one-arm people. We have people playing Down syndrome and autism, and we got several autistic players.
yeah.
Then on top of that, Patrick, the coolest thing in the world is this year at the World Championship, we had a grandmother, daughter, and grandson.
Oh, that's really cool.
3 generations in that order.
Yeah, right.
We've had fathers and sons and fathers and daughters and that kind of thing, but 3 generations. So that's
Right.
that,
Yeah, and so for those that haven't heard of long drive, and we'll get back into how diverse that area is. What exactly is long drive?
So, hey, if you can imagine a baseball home run derby,
Yeah.
that's what it is for long drive.
Mhm.
Who doesn't like to hit the driver? I mean, tell me, every golfer, if they really admit it, would like to get up and take a swing at it. But when you're playing around the golf, you got to try to be careful with it.
Sure.
Long drive, you get 6 balls to get one in the fairway.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let it rip.
So it's a competition who can hit the ball the furthest.
Yeah.
And and you compete amongst others, and what makes your organization, Ultimate Long Drive, special is that it is so diverse, and it gives, it makes me proud to be part of the organization.
Proud to have
Is that yeah, whether that you can have, you can bring in that scenario where you have a granddaughter, mother, daughter, or excuse me, grandmother, in and have them go out there and compete, but compete in the division that they can compete in.
Absolutely. We sometimes get criticism because we have so many divisions.
Yeah.
And we crown a world championship in every division. Okay.
Right.
Unless you've had the opportunity, the wonderful opportunity to advance through age.
Sure. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It takes that for you to understand why we have 5-year incremental age changes.
Right.
Because I'm 69 and I'm on the old end of my division, 65 plus. It's hard for me to compete with a 64-year-old.
Sure.
I'm telling
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, and I've seen those that have disabilities,
Yep.
and I've watched many competitions, especially like I said, my daughter competing in it as well. But watching before you guys put anything like that together,
Yep.
they have nothing to compete in. They have nothing to compete in because in all reality, you can't be. It's just physics, I mean, having someone that has a prosthetic leg, or somebody that may have a mental disability or something, it's very hard for them to compete with a fresh 23-year-old
Well-
that can sit there and blast the ball.
When I really found out what the Paralympic Drive was about, I mean, in one case, it break your heart. Because one of the things I did to try to help Dean promote that thing was I interviewed all of these players.
Yeah.
And I talked to them about how they got involved, what happened to them, why are you in it? A lot of them, as you would imagine, are military injuries, but there's everything you can imagine. But I interviewed guys that told me that they were considering committing suicide until they found out that they could go play long drive. So you think about, there are certain people with certain disabilities that can't play around the golf. They can hit a driver. They can
Yeah.
sit in one place and hit a driver, and somebody has to tee it up for them. That puts them into the game of golf. That's something they can do
Yeah.
with whatever condition they're in. So I learned it from the bottom up. That this means a lot to the people that need an opportunity to get out and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we will always have those opportunities for anyone with any type of ability to come and play with us.
Right.
We will-
And 100%, as somebody that is an ambassador for people participating in sports, is they're 110% a champion.
Absolutely.
If they get up there and you have the kid with a mental disability, you have an amputee, you have a war veteran that can go compete in their own division, you know what, you're a champion in my book. If you have enough courage to get up there, because here's the thing, it's not like they're not, they're just going to on a stage to hit a golf ball and there's nobody around. There's people watching.
Yeah.
And I know many of people that can barely get off the tee box
Yeah.
when they got their buddies watching them
Absolutely.
because of the nerves. So could you imagine having a disability and getting out there on the stage, the amount of pride that they would have in themselves. And even you said that it has prevented those from, committing suicide tragically, but they have that opportunity to go out there and compete. I don't know how in the world that an organization like that can face any kind of criticism. And you break it down even further to where, the kids divisions, and you have even, what is it, like a division for like the 30s, the 40s, and everything else?
Shell, I'll go through that.
Yeah.
Because I think that's important. This is our 8th season.
Right.
It's taken us a while to get this right.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
and we learn something every year. But we have divisions that start at 7 and under. Okay. Then we go to 9 and under, because kids progress quickly at that age.
Sure.
Then 11 and under, then 13 and under. 11 and 13 and under, 15 and under we added last year because our Latin American affiliate was running that division and wanted to qualify someone for the World Championship. So we added the 15 and under. This made sense because if you look, I don't know if you remember Connor Cady.
Mhm.
At 13, Connor was out driving most men.
Yeah.
So we needed that break between the 13 and 15 and 18. Then we get to 18 plus. 18 plus is our open division. Any age can compete in that.
Yeah.
And we leave that division intact until we get to 35, at 30 through 34. Then we have 35 plus, and then every 5 years after that, all the way to 75 plus.
Yeah.
And what I mentioned earlier about aging through, as an athlete ages, those 5-year increments mean a lot, and it's a ton to keep up with. But I think for the foundation for the growth of the sport, that's what we're trying to do, is put a foundation under a really cool sport.
Yeah.
Is to let people develop in their age groups,
Right.
especially the kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I love watching Haven. Your daughter,
Uh-huh.
man.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll highlight probably one of the most special moments that I had as a father, and I have a picture of it as well, which is really cool. But it's we had the world championship in Florida. It was, I believe, 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Yeah, yeah. And I remember, Abe was up there swinging, and I remember I was able to help her tee the ball up.
Yep.
And just that moment, it's burned in my brain. And I'm so glad it is, because I put it on there. I said, "All right, buddy, go get it." And she'd get up there and she'd hit it. And then, like, once she got one in the fairway and really zipped it, the crowd that was out there, because here's the thing too, is like the Canadians, they bring in a big,
There's a secret red in the bleachers.
yeah, but even them, man, they were awesome. They were cheering everybody on and stuff. How can you tell me that's not productive for a kid? How is that not beneficial?
We had people competing in that event from 18 countries. We had kids from I forget how many countries the kids were.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's an opportunity for kids to compete against someone in a totally different nationality. They never had that opportunity to interact before.
Right,
Right.
right.
So, relationships are made, friendships are made.
Yeah.
And they get they understand what it means to go out and compete for a world championship at a really early age.
Sure, yeah. And I got to highlight someone special, especially here in our area, Henry the Machine. All right, Henry the Machine. I love watching Henry. Tell me a little bit about Henry.
So Henry started competing at one of our very first league events, way back. We were down in Charleston at God, I forgot, Marine Point. What's that place down there? What is that?
Patriots Point.
Patriots Point.
Yeah.
We were down there at that place holding an event. We were getting it set up. And Henry and his mom and his granddad were over there in the range hitting. I didn't really notice them. But as we were setting up, his mom came over and says, "What are y'all doing? We're having a long run." Really? I said, "Yeah." "Can Henry play?" I said, "Sure." She said, "Well, you may not have a division for him. He has autism and Down syndrome." I said, "Yeah, we have that division."
Jeff, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
So Henry just, when he hits the ball, and I've got hundreds of videos of Henry contacting the ball.
Yeah.
Just look at his expression. He loves it.
Yeah.
It means everything to me that he's doing something he can get that much excitement.
Right. And without the ultimate long drive, what chance does Henry have to go compete? What opportunities are out there?
Yeah, it's tough.
And what I love about Henry the most too is he feeds off the crowd.
Oh God, yeah.
Man, the first thing he does is start bumping up the crowd as soon as he gets on the stage, and he just has no fear whatsoever. It's beautiful, and I love it. But what I think is very successful with your guys' organization is the inclusive, like just how inclusive it is.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing: if you're trying to promote a sport, give people a chance, give them a chance to go compete. Don't say, "Oh, well, you got to be this." You don't have to have a lot of money to do it. You don't have to, you don't have to be a limberback 18-year-old. You don't have to sit up there and be on juice, just to compete. And
I could draw a lot of also, we're not going without saying anything wrong.
Yeah.
We want to build a foundation under a great sport. I said that earlier. We'll talk about that just a minute.
Yeah.
Because as you know, you competed in the sport before.
Yeah.
And there was never really a feeder into it. And I ask you, where would soccer be? If there weren't any good soccer, things like that. Where would baseball be if we couldn't play t-ball?
yeah,
So Long Drive didn't have that. There had people had come along and attempted to do some things with different divisions, never really could follow it through. We get, again, it's me that takes the heat, and I don't mind taking the heat, but I get criticized. But some people say, "No, you're doing this all wrong." That's not Long Drive. You shouldn't be able to play this sport unless you're an elite athlete. Well, that's stupid.
it is.
I
I
can't
agree
help it.
100%. No, yeah.
I'm sorry if that offends people.
Yeah, no.
but it just doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to grow this thing long term, and hopefully it grows long after I'm gone, that's
Yeah.
what we're trying to do. Let's
Right.
create something so people can get into it and aspire to be better, and have a professional league at the top.
Yeah.
That they benefit from getting there. Not everybody's going to be a pro, but everybody wants to play like them.
Sure.
You need the opportunity for people to advance.
Yeah. Well, and you hit the nail on the head. there's recreation soccer, there's recreation basketball. You just don't jump into the NBA.
Right.
You don't just go, you don't go into the MLB right out, without starting somewhere.
Yeah, and you don't just go to the World Championship and hope to make it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
We've got leagues operating all around the United States.
Yeah.
And that's intended for people within a local geographic area to be able to go hit balls 6, 8, 7, 10 times a year and earn their way into the World Championship. And they don't go to the World Championship green
Yeah.
and have a bad experience.
Right.
They have an opportunity to get there, to qualify, and to get in. They know they're ready when they get there, and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And then on top of that, we run the tour. We call it the North American Tour because we USA, Canada, Mexico,
Sure.
and that we try to get into places that we don't have leagues. Most of the time, we still sometimes go into league territories if there's not the land.
Right.
But that gives people living in other areas an opportunity to come through that event and get into a world championship.
Sure.
And some people like traveling. They like playing the tour thing.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
can do that.
Yeah.
But you can do that in our leagues as well.
Right.
Any member can play any event.
Yeah. Well, and there's a difference. You have ALD, which is for the amateurs, correct? And then you have the professional standpoint of it. Can you break that down just
Yeah,
real
so
quick?
we started as ALD. We were just amateur long drive. We didn't think about the pro side or anything. We ended up in a partnership with the golf chain.
Yeah.
And they owned WLB at that time. And we reached an agreement so that we would create that feed system into World Long Drive. And then sadly, during COVID, the NBC Comcast people pulled the plug on World Long Drive. There was nowhere for pros to go. So
Yeah.
we created a professional division and we called it XLD, Extreme Long Drive. So we had ALD and XLD. Things evolved. We rebranded the company because the corporation was called Amateur Long Drive Inc. It didn't
Yeah.
make sense. That's stupid. It didn't make sense to me to have a company called that with a professional.
Sure. Yeah.
I
Right.
changed the name to Ultimate Long Drive, and that confused a lot of people. If you have too many brands, yeah, I mean, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So we have Ultimate Long Drive, and we have a points division and a money division.
Yeah.
Amateur and pro.
Yeah.
Extreme Long Drive still exists, and that's a virtual series. That's all played on a simulator.
I got
We
you.
have our own game coming that was developed by GS Pro. By the way, if you're listening, for all you GS Pro users, it launches April 1st. It's in that new edition. Can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity to play long drive in your garage with your buddy in Europe,
Oh, dude, that's neat.
or you can enter leagues and play your way to a virtual world championship and then into our Green Bay World Championship.
That is sweet, man.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool.
Sorry about
So
that.
even
Got on the roll.
no, man, I was interested. I'm pretty sure people listening are interested. On wait a minute, dude, you tell me I can challenge my buddy in long drive, and dude, that's really
We
neat.
saw Mark Blackmore's PGA show was showing him, and he says, "You mean I can go into my cave in Germany?
Yeah,
You guys over here, 100%.
dude, that's awesome. That is all. I can't wait for that. When's that come out again?
April 1st.
April 1st.
There's a new revision or whatever they call it, update to GS Pro,
Yeah,
and it's in that. At the first level of it is.
right.
Then it's there's several more levels coming,
Yeah,
but you can still put it on play. You can play other people. It's probably one of the most exciting things I've ever seen because I think that was just really
that's a game changer there, man.
talk about opening up the sport for people to get into it. Makes it really easy. But the XLD thing, there's a lot of interest and a good time doing this. Several people come to us and ask about getting online gaming betting into long run.
Yeah,
No one really did it successfully. There's too many variables in the green grass version of long run. There's too many, in my opinion, and I don't gamble.
yeah,
If I was a gambler, I wouldn't want my bet based on something that somebody out there could fade.
that's true.
You know what I mean?
That's true. Your spotters. So what you
Yeah.
mean by that are spotters that are down there calling in the distance. Yeah.
So we partnered with a company called Perfect Network to bring online betting to long drive, and we're going to use the XLD series, Extreme Long Drive series, as a simulator series. Where
Okay.
it's you can lock it, it's set. It should bring the faith of
Yeah.
bettors into it. We've done a couple tests with that.
Yeah.
And we also set those up as teaming runs, where we have two captains come in, and for these we appoint, and eventually someone can acquire a license to be a captain.
Sure.
And then we opened up a draft and had players apply and be in the draft.
Yeah.
So from the draft applications, the coaches go and look at their footage, check everything out, and then we have a live draft on TV.
Yeah.
We draft players in those teams, and then they go play in simulator, team on team.
Yeah.
And it's a really fun version of our sport.
That's really, really cool, man. That's awesome. Now, opening up the playbook and we get into, you know, what does long drive do for kids?
So, so confidence for one thing.
Yeah.
I've seen it over and over. The kids get up there and they're so shy, and you know how it is. It's like when you go out and play golf for the first few times and it sucks until you hit that good one.
Yeah.
And you take a kid that knows they can hit, but they get up there and they're a little bit shy or whatever,
Sure.
and then it comes back.
Yeah.
That's confidence. And then you'll see that happen. Then they start hitting it over and over.
Right.
You know, it's like you're talking about Aiden, getting one in the fairway.
Mhm.
When you get one in the fairway, if you know the sport, you know now I can let it loose.
Yeah. Right.
There's nothing better than all I can swing from the hills and get
Right.
out there. But the other thing it does is it puts them in competitive situations, one-on-one.
Yeah.
Team sports are great.
Yeah.
You know, I love team sports. But I like the idea of introducing athletes at a very young age into what it's like to be and compete against somebody else. Some people don't like that.
Yeah.
I think it's holding as a human being.
Absolutely.
To stand on your own.
Right. And not only that, but you stand on your own on the stage.
Yeah, when the lights are
Dude, you're on the stage and there's people watching, you know. And I'll go ahead and tell you, you know, my first time, Jeff, I don't know if many people know this story. My first WLD, World Long Drive, before COVID and everything went on and all that stuff, I went to my first qualifier. And it was at the Party Columbia.
Yes, sir.
And of course, I was nervous. You know what I mean? And that's when we had, I believe we might have had 8 balls or whatever.
Yeah, you did 8 balls, 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, it's something like that. So they finally call my name and I go up on stage and I'm hitting them up, you know, three other guys. And of course, all the big names are there too, you know, watching your stuff and guys I've seen on TV at that point in time. But I'm like, all right, let's rip it. You know, so I tee it up and they say, you know, swing away. They start the time. I topped the first ball. Right there on stage, I topped it, buddy. And I mean, I topped it like I ain't never swung a golf club before in my life. You know what I mean? So the nerves after that point, I was like, well, I can't look dumber than I do now. So let me just keep ripping. And then actually that first time, my first qualifier, I made it to regionals and was able to, you know, go and make it to that one. But just putting yourself out there, you know what I mean? Even if you get kicked in the teeth, you know,
That's such a
getting
great
out
lesson.
there and doing it.
It really is.
But that's a valuable lesson for somebody who's, you know, 23 and trying it out, and also for an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old. You know, I mean,
If you're listening to this and your kids got skills or even they don't have skills,
mm,
I've tried. You never know what you might create out of it.
right, right,
And I'll say this. You talked about your first experience, made me think about mine. I never intended to do this. I'm not a long driver, for goodness sakes. You know, I mean, I hit the ball decent.
yeah,
But I'm not a long driver. I'm an old dude. And we were running the tournament over at Barefoot, and the rain came on. Ran everybody off.
mm,
You know how it is in Myrtle Beach. You know, 10 minutes later, the rain's gone, and there's a
Yeah.
handful of hitters still there.
sure,
And they said, well, can we still have the event? Sure. We don't have that many people. I said, well, I'll hit with you.
yeah,
I went and loosed up. The first time I stepped on that tee and did that, with people watching the music playing, blew me away.
yeah,
I raced stock cars. It's the only thing I ever did that was any good.
yeah,
I get just as much adrenaline rush with that driver.
oh yeah, dude,
I mean, listen, I spent $100,000 on a car.
uh-huh,
I had 50,000 in my truck. I paid 3,000 a month for my garage. I spent $1,000 a week on tires
yeah, right,
to go out and get that rush when I was racing. And I can take a driver and drive my SUV
yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
to the range and get the same thing.
Well, even that, and I also, you know, the pressure that you get when you've made it to your last ball,
Yeah.
and you haven't put one in the grid yet, you know.
That's the
So, you
that's
know,
the worst it
and
is.
for those that don't know, you know, there are and out of bounds. That's kind of what a grid is. So you can't just hit it as hard as you can and or swing as fast as you can and get the ball down there and it just be, 400 yards to the left.
Yeah.
You got to keep it down the fairway, essentially. And
It's over 50 yards. We
Yeah.
vary some. We've been as narrow as 38 and as high as 70.
yeah,
That 70-yard grid looks pretty big. That's what we had at Bradenton down there.
right. And we had wind in the fan, but we were hitting into the fan. And I remember Ava, I think she got hers the best drive, and she was 7, just turned 7 at the time, and ended up getting, I think 123 yards, 125 yards into the fan for a little 7-year-old. I mean, that was cool. But I can tell you, man, I will never in a million years ever forget having the honor to sit there and tee my kid up and watch her take a title and, go and compete. And I know, oh, I mean, 1,000 times over that parents of those that, may have a mental disability or those that are, uh, have a physical impairment, the joy or the sense of self-accomplishment that they have that you guys offered them it has to be off the scale, because once again, where else can they get it, and
I love it.
I tell you, I applaud you guys, and I don't know how,
That's why we can't. That's how we got here.
yeah,
That's where we started. And that'll always be a part of Ultimate Long Run.
yeah, and that's and it organization wise, it builds such a solid foundation because you only build a solid foundation with people. And I find it kind of, a lot of people may have difficulties coming up with a couple $100,000 or whatever just to go compete in something, that they can hit the ball one time. But let me backtrack also too, like during an event. So let's take just something that is happening something that's happening locally. All right. Just like a local event. How's the format for that? So do you pay, $100 and hit the ball 6 times and you leave, or how does that?
So here's how it works. So if we're a membership organization. You've got to have a membership to compete. There's a lot of reasons for that. And that's $150. And that's annual, and it lasts from whenever you get it through the World Championship. Then each event, the local events are $60 for the points.
Yeah.
And the entry is $60 no matter whether you're playing for money or points. But for the pros, the money side, there's a separate purse that, like, you pay your $60 entry.
Yeah.
If for that event, the money purse is $100 more, put 100 in there.
Right.
So on the $60 entry, those guys are playing for points. And everybody will get a standard at the local level, league level, 2 sets of 6 balls for their entry.
Okay.
But you got the opportunity to buy extra sets. We make that allowable.
Sure.
So you can buy as many extra sets as you want in advance or at the event. And just flip in and hit. And at the end of the event, it's whoever had the longest drive in regulation in that division.
Yeah.
So the amateurs get points. And they use points to play their way to the World Championship. And the pros get money, and they use money winnings to make their way to the World Championship.
Yeah, that's a great foundation. I like it. I love it. And so if somebody were to or wants to sign up for this, okay, what's the process?
So it's easy. You go to ultimatelongdive.com. There's a bunch of tabs across the top. Click on membership. There's a button that tells you a little bit about it. Click one of our sponsors' banners and buy something from them, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
While you're there.
Yeah.
Because they help us. But click that, and it'll take you over and you fill out a membership form, entry form. As soon as you hit submit on that, you're going to get an email back. By the way, long drivers, it's the same email you used on the form.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you get an email back with a membership algorithm.
Yeah.
So then you just go to our calendar, which will have 50, 60 events on at any one point in time, and find an event near you, click it, enter it, and you'll be asked for that membership ID, pay your fee, and you're in. That's it. Go there and
Easy
get
as
it.
pie. Easy as pie.
You asked me something earlier and we touched on what does Long Drive do for kids? And you got me to thinking about this as you were talking about Ava and everything. We talked about putting yourself out there and being up there and competing against somebody else. That's those lessons in life where you learn who you are.
Yeah.
What you got. And you might leave there disappointed that I got beat, but I didn't do my best. You're gonna be impressed the next time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And there are things that happen all through your life that let you know, okay, this is who I am.
Yeah.
You know? So
Right.
why not earn that early?
Exactly. And no matter what you have going on in your life, why not you have a chance to do so?
Absolutely.
And you guys give those chances. And there's even for like a first timer, because and what our first episode, I had Ken Francis with the kids on the tour, and we were talking about how do you get your kid to start playing golf and everything else. Get them a driver, and because every kid, think about the kid mind of a kid, they won't hit a ball far.
Yep.
They want to rip it. They don't care about putting.
Yep.
And maybe on a putt course, but you give a kid a driver, you let them go out there, they start making connections, swinging, and everything else. And what's the youngest age that a kid can compete in?
We've had kids 4 years old.
4 years old. All right, so 4 years old.
Yeah.
You hand them a driver, and they go out and they just hit.
We had 2-year-olds going head to head in 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And I still got the video of those two high-fiving each other. So,
Right. And not only that, but they get a chance to hit in front of people. And I've been, for those listening, those that don't know, the ULD atmosphere is amazing. There's just the amount of support that you guys get from even players, spectators, everything else. Everybody is cheering everybody on. And it's a family environment. That's the thing. It's a family environment. Now, granted, yeah, maybe the dog eat dog comes in a little bit towards especially when you start swinging for thousands of dollars, in the worlds. But regardless, not once have I seen any kind of incidents happen out there, any kind of bad sportsmanship. I mean, there's been frustration, sure.
Yeah.
That's going to come with everything. But regardless, it's one big family atmosphere. Especially when you get into, like I said, the ALD and everything else. I told you. My daughter wasn't part of Team Canada,
Yeah.
but I sure did see some red shirts out there clapping and cheering for her, whenever, yeah, and everything else. So, but I could tell you this, Jeff. Is there anything else that we're looking forward to for this upcoming season? I know the ground's already been broke, but what's happening in the future of ULD?
We started our season this year in December, and like 2024, and we've already had, it's probably 20 some events already this year. We'll do 150 maybe when we get to the end of the year.
Yeah.
We're going to Leon, Mexico. We're going up to Canada, to Alberta, Canada. We've got a large event, the East Coast Classic, which you mentioned before. That brand is owned by Matt Ellenberg, who owns Shark Attack Golf.
Yeah.
And we partner with him on a lot of things. So the East Coast Classic this time is going to be in Fredericksburg up there. It's going to be a huge event.
Awesome.
We're in Michigan this tomorrow, Dallas in a couple of weeks. So we're getting it out there. We're traveling, making it happen, all to get to the World Championship, which is third week in September at Columbia at Party Golf Center.
Nice.
You want to get in there, all you got to do is go hit and make your way there. That'll be a good time.
I love the Party driving range. That's my first time getting introduced to long drive.
Yep.
And that grid can get hot. If it's nice and dry and you get a little backwind behind you,
Yes, sir.
give you a little tip secret. It's usually the left side, boys and girls. All right. So you get on that left side, that thing will run.
We had a tailwind at the Worlds. We played there this past year. This past season, we had a tailwind open when the open guys were up. Through the grid, man.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And so what I'll do is for those listening, those watching, look, we have expanded the 3P playbook. We now have Facebook. We have Instagram. Still cracking out the YouTube page. Hopefully it's done. If not, just keep searching 3P playbook on YouTube. I'll be dropping, if you follow at least the Facebook or Instagram, I'll have the links to everything on there. But including on that link, since the ULD has been so good to me, it's been good to my daughter, it's been good to this show as well. We'll be putting the links down below. And Jeff, one last thing. As far as Wingding's concerned, what if people are interested on seeing how these competitions happen?
Yeah, so getting sports like this at this level televised is incredibly expensive.
Sure.
And very much ineffective because not many people are watching that kind of TV. It's digital. So another company that I own, Big Media, is an OTT streaming platform, and we stream to about 129 million households. And we live stream all of our events there. There's an iOS app and an Android app. You can download it. We always embed the stuff on our website and go to our website and watch the live TV thing and see our live events. One coming up tomorrow at 11 o'clock,
Oh, nice.
by the way. So that's one way. All of this past stuff is there on demand to be. Okay. And I'm happy to say that as of today, there's a new channel on me.
Oh, really? What's that?
It's 3P something.
Oh, yeah, the 3P playbook. Oh, man. I'll tell you this much. Hey, look, Jeff, I'm telling you, first off, thank you very much for that. But secondly, look, the 3P playbook is it's a mindset, it's a family atmosphere. And if you listen to our episodes, if you go back, get kids in sports, give them a chance, give them a chance. And then, and not only that, but understand that kids understand their mindsets. And my whole objective with this whole thing, this whole movement here, is to create healthy environments for kids to learn. All right. And guess what? That doesn't mean everything's hugs and kisses and pats on the butt, but it means that, you can take a loss to learn how to properly respond. And then not only that, but us as parents, as instructors, as coaches, what can we do to make sure that those kids have every opportunity? What example are we setting? Number one, but two, how are we investing into them? Are we investing into ourselves, hoping that we win said event, or are we actually investing into them and teaching them life lessons, which will inadvertently, as they progress and become adults, become more effective adults, productive members of society?
A lot more Pat Wilkinson's out there. I'm telling you.
Right.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Well, Jeff, and thank you so much for being such a great ambassador for being inclusive towards all walks of life, to get out there and go compete and everything else. And I commend you for it. All the information for the Ultimate Long Drive and Wing Dame will be on our Facebook and Instagram page. Guys, thank you so much for listening again. Jeff, thank you again for being on here. Remember, come down here to the Knot and come see my boy Roger if you're looking for a good time. Until then, we'll see you next time.